Alexander III of Macedon, also known as Alexander the Great, has left his mark in history for uniting the Greeks and creating one of the greatest empires of all times, stretching from Greece to northwestern India. His presence has created some controversies over the years. For example, was he really Greek? Well, these questions have already been answered in an older video from Helinika from the Faces of Greece series. Today, we take a different approach. Welcome to the 16th episode of Helinika podcast. I am your hostess Marielena, and I will be guiding you through some of the most fascinating stories revolving Alexander the Great. Stories that blend history with mythology. Before we get started with the first legend, however, I would like to remind you to subscribe if you are new here, as it is the best way to stay connected and listen to more episodes on history and mythology in the future. You can also consider becoming a Helinika Society member to support this channel and to gain access to additional posts. You can find a link in the description. Alexander's near-mythical nature originates from the very moment of his conception. According to the first-century biographer Plutarch, Alexander's mother had a bizarre dream before getting pregnant. Olympias, the Greek princess of the Molossians and queen of Macedon, was asleep when she witnessed a lightning strike entering her womb and setting it to flames. She believed it was a prophetic dream and that she was going to conceive a very powerful heir. When her pregnancy was confirmed, rumors started that the father of her child was not her husband, Philip II, but Zeus himself. Zeus was the ancient Greek king of the Olympian gods, and one of his symbols was no other than the thunderbolt. Since the baby grew up to become the figure behind one of the greatest empires in history, Olympias Dream is often deemed prophetic. Now, a story that very few people know, and if you are a returning subscriber, you may be familiar with it, is no other than the one of Alexander's sister. Alexander the Great had at least 6 siblings, including Thessaloniki, whose name matches the one of the second biggest city in Greece. According to a legend that blends history with fiction, Thessaloniki was turned into a mermaid, roaming the northeastern part of the Aegean Sea to this day. It was not uncommon for seafarers of the past centuries to claim they had encountered Thessaloniki in one of their trips. She was almost a giant, and she could easily capsize a large boat by knocking it with her tail. Thessaloniki, as a mermaid, was neither hostile nor friendly. She would ask seafarers to answer the following question: Is King Alexander alive? Zi o Vasilias Alexandros? If the answer was negative, Thessaloniki would scream and hit the boat violently. If the answer was positive, she would smile and dive deep into the waters. Now, Thessaloniki was not born a mermaid. She was transformed into one after trying to end her life by jumping into the Aegean Sea, after she heard of the rumors that her beloved brother had died. The reason she basically could not drown is intertwined with another myth surrounding Alexander. It is believed that her brother had gifted her a flask filled with water from a miraculous spring. After using this flask to wash her hair, she became immortal. Now, this mysterious spring is no other than the Fountain of Youth, or the Fountain of Immortality, or Fountain of Life as it is known in some versions. which is mentioned in multiple legends across different cultures. According to a 3rd century novel known as Alexander Romans, Alexander followed the footsteps of Gilgamesh to find a source of water that would make him immortal. On his journey to the land of the blessed, Alexander grows hungry and asks one of his cooks, Andreas, to fetch him some meat. Andreas catches a fish and begins to wash it in a nearby fountain. To his astonishment, the moment the fish touches the water, it springs back to life and escapes into the fountain. Realizing he has stumbled upon the legendary Fountain of Life, Andreas keeps the discovery to himself. He drinks from the water and secretly fills a silver vessel with it, intending to use it later to charm Alexander's daughter. Eventually, Alexander arrives at the edge of the land of the blessed, but he finds himself unable to enter. Around the same time, he learns about the fish incident and questions Andreas. Under pressure, Andreas admits what happened, but claims he did not drink the water and he fails to mention the silver vessel. When asked why he concealed the truth, he dismissively responds that the past should not be dwelt upon. Alexander, displeased, orders Andreas to be whipped. Later, Andreas uses the water to seduce Alexander's daughter, who is intrigued by the chance to taste immortality. She drinks from the vessel and becomes immortal. When Alexander learns of this betrayal, he delivers a severe punishment. Andreas is transformed into a demon. Andreas is transformed into a demon of the sea, and his daughter into a demon of the desert. Alexander Romans includes another intriguing story where the king of Macedon encounters 22 tribes of cannibals and sinners while exploring Central Asia. These tribes are often associated with the so-called Gog and Magog people mentioned in the Bible and the Quran. Often described as the Unclean Nations, these tribes consisted of monstrous humans that were believed to lead humanity to destruction. According to the novel and other legends across the globe, Alexander led the 22 nations to 2 mountains called the Breast of the North, where he built the so-called Caspian Gates out of bronze, coating them with fast-sticking oil. Alexander was able to entrap the Unclean Nations within the gates, which he then sealed. Apocalyptic texts often mention this incident, stating that the Caspian Gates will open in the second coming of Christ, letting the Unclean Nations out to wreak havoc on earth. Now, going back to the kingdom of Macedonia and Alexander's first steps, there is a story that blends historical facts with fiction again. As a young prince, Alexander impressed his father Philip when he was able to tame one of the best Thessalian horses that nobody could tame. The horse was no other than Buchephalus in Latin, known for his big head and deep loyalty to Alexander. But before becoming Alexander's horse, Buchephalus would reject anyone who tried to ride him. Instead of scaring him further by using force, Alexander spoke softly to the horse and soon noticed what the problem was. Buchephalus was afraid of shadows, even his own shadow. To successfully ride him, Alexander led the horse in a position where he would face the sun. He removed his own cloak, and no visible shadows appeared. In this way, he managed to ride the horse successfully. King Philip was so impressed by this feat that he is believed to have said that this kingdom is too small for Alexander. We do not know whether this story is fully fictional or a true story with a few embellishments. I believe it is probably the second case. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Now, There are many more legendary stories revolving Alexander the Great. Would you be interested in a second part, perhaps? If so, make sure to like and let me know with a comment. If you enjoyed watching this video, you can share it with someone who loves Greek history and mythology. And if you're new here, consider subscribing to stay connected. If you would like to support this channel in any way, you can consider becoming a Helinika Society member to access additional posts and get to know me a bit better. I have recently shared my DNA test results from my heritage in case you're interested. Till next time.